Hello, this is Roberto. Can everybody hear me? Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hold on, I'm having one sound issue. Give me a second. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, I will call the regular October meeting to order of the Jones LSC. And Sarah, do you want to take the roll?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't muted. Andrade,
Here.
Bowman,
Here.
Bugs,
Present.
Serna Prado,
Here.
Cresswell,
Here.
Hilbrands,
Here.
Land,
Here.
Ma here, Martinsek. I saw she just joined. Ellen, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Menjivar,
I'm here.
Powers,
Here.
Zen.
Here.
Okay, we're all here. I make a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have
Second.
any? Okay. No amendments before I do that, just making sure. No? Okay. So roll call for the agenda. Andrade,
Yes.
Yay.
Bowman, Bugs, I think
Yes.
okay, thank you. Cresswell,
Yes.
Hilbrands,
Yes.
Land,
Yes.
Ma, yes. Martinsek,
Yes.
Menjivar,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Zen.
Yes.
Okay, those are approved 12 out of 12. And then I make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 14th, 2021 regular LSC meeting.
Second.
Okay, roll call Andrade,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yay.
Bugs,
Yes.
Serna Prado,
Yeah.
Cresswell,
Yes.
Hilbrands,
Yes.
Land,
Yes.
Ma, yes. Martinsek, yes. Menjivar,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
and Zen.
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved, and I'll hand it over to you, Cassie, for public participation.
Okay, so we have a bunch of people here tonight for the parent vacancy. So we'll have parents, candidates speak under that agenda item. So I will just call on people who are calling to do or sign up to do public comment. And so Raquel, do you have a public comment? Let's see, where you are.
You're not speaking of the LSC statement. You're just asking for
Yeah, just if
okay.
you sign up for public, like regular public comment, you don't have a comment? Okay.
No.
Okay. Michelle Parada. Michelle?
Yes, hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Okay, one moment, sorry. Okay, let me get this here. Okay, my name is Michelle Parada, and this is my 7th year teaching Spanish at Jones. I'm speaking tonight to recognize Dr. Powers during Principal Appreciation Month. Just as Dr. Powers has always taken the time to recognize staff and students for their many achievements, I feel it's important to do the same for the person who has been leading our school successfully since he began working here. I do not pretend to be aware of all that Dr. Powers does to run the school and manage everything, but I'll try my best to acknowledge the things I'm aware of. I think that Dr. Powers' willingness to make himself always available is such a unique trait for a principal, given all the demands he has in his daily schedule. There hasn't been a time that he has said he was too busy when I've asked to touch base about something. His door has always been open, and he has stopped whatever he was in the middle of to talk whenever I've just stopped in. I'm aware of others who have had the same positive experience as well, and have been told that whenever they have needed something for a program, club, class, etc., Dr. Powers has always done everything possible to make it happen because it is something that will benefit the students and their formation. This practice of his connects to the respect he shows to staff. So many people are incredibly grateful for his flexibility and understanding when it comes to all the little life things that happen day to day and the bigger ones. There have been times when he's aware of a personal extenuating circumstance afflicting someone, such as a death of a family member or serious illness, and he is understanding of what those people are trying to manage. The trust he has for us as professionals is very remarkable, and another sign of his respect for us as teachers and staff. We do not have the constant hovering over our shoulders as is commonplace in other schools, which means less stress and more time for us to focus on delivering quality instruction and on our students. What some may consider a small gesture and not so significant is something I find to be extremely important, and that is making himself visible. The time he takes in the mornings to greet students as they're coming in makes a difference. The time he invests in being present at events for parents is essential to forming lines of communication, trust, and community. I realize all the school's success cannot solely be attributed to him alone, as the administrative staff, teaching and support staff, parents, students, and so many other stakeholders all have their roles. But as the leader of the school, a lot of the credit can be given to Dr. Powers. He is the decision maker, the manager, the leader, and so many other hats that he wears each day. I'm so grateful to have him as my principal and cannot imagine what Jones would be like without him. I've heard many stories from staff that have been here longer than I. And when they talk about the years prior to Dr. Powers being hired, they always talk about how great it has been since he's been on board. Sadly, although there are many staff who feel this way, majority of staff actually, from what others have told me, because of the fear of retaliation and bullying from colleagues and the culture those outspoken colleagues are creating here at Jones, those in full support of him did not feel comfortable thanking Dr. Powers publicly at the meeting. I don't want to take away from my recognition of Dr. Powers, but I think it's important to note the negative effect that some are having, especially when someone does not feel comfortable thanking a colleague publicly because of how they might be treated. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
And Michelle, if you have that written, can you email it for the minutes?
Sure, I'll try to send it. Sorry, I didn't get to it.
No, it's fine. Thanks.
Okay.
And next we have Eric Levin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm a parent of a new freshman, so we're new family to Jones. And as I was looking through all the documents available on the LSC website, I saw all of the, I don't know, there were probably 8 or 9 documents about the SRO decision that was made last year. And as I reviewed the data, it looked to me like there was a large majority of support among students and faculty and parents. And I looked through the data, and I would love it if somebody could explain what the decision process was from the time the survey data was received that looked like to me that it supported SROs to the news article that a lot of us read late summer when Jones was highlighted as one of the few schools to give up the SROs. As a new parent, I just would love to understand the background to that decision. That's all. Thank you.
Rachel, do you want to take that? Rachel Zen was our representative on the, like essentially the LSC member for part of it, and then also Daniel Andrade on the whole school safety committee that basically put together the whole school safety plan that the SRO decision was part of. So
Yeah,
Rachel,
I
if you
can.
want to speak to that now. That's fine. I think that makes sense.
I can just briefly go over the process of the whole school safety plan. Sorry, I'm commuting. So this is a great question. And the process was actually pretty long. It was months long. So it started in the middle of May. And the whole school safety committee was comprised of students, parents, faculty members at Jones, and Mr. Mitchell, in addition to Jones security staff. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. And we had several conversations, like weekly meetings, basically, looking at, first and foremost, we looked at the data, albeit limited, from a student forum that was held in May, and that was co-organized by the Health and Safety Committee and students, including Daniel, who's on the LSC now. And after looking at that data, which was actually not in support of SROs to the large majority, or I don't want to actually be at that reductive. It wasn't necessarily pro or against SROs. It was actually hoping to expand the conversation beyond that limited kind of pro or con perspective. But after looking at that data, as well as surveying parents and students, and hosting a what do you call it? A town hall, I think is what we called it, in the summer. We had actually a lot of conversations, and then we brought it to the LSC and had, I think, 2, if not 3 discussions about the whole school safety plan. And I don't think I'm the only LSC member who would agree that those decisions were, or that the perspectives that we were looking at was not solely majority supportive or more majority against even, but it was actually quite split. So the reports are there. I'm happy to talk more about it, and the Health and Safety Committee would be a great place to discuss that. And I'm definitely happy to bring that up or put it on the agenda for our next meeting. So thanks for the question.
Thanks, Rachel.
Could I add something as well, Cassie, real quick?
Yep, that would be great.
Yeah, and even before that, before the local school council that's current, there was another local school council at Jones, made of different parents, and there was a committee there as well where it was called the Safety and Security Committee, and there we also began looking at the SROs and the effects they had on students. So this was an ongoing conversation that was then taken over by this LSC and the Health and Safety Committee, and then finally by the whole school safety committee, like Rachel said. And there we had a whole bunch of conversations, like Rachel said, and like it wasn't just everyone for against SROs. There was perspectives for SROs as well that we took into account. But with all that information, we just decided it would be better to get rid of them.
Thanks, Daniel. The next person I have listed is Rakesh Madhava, but I think probably you're going to give a statement for the parent vacancy, right?
That was the
Hey,
idea.
Yeah.
Hey, Cassie, Ellen has her hand raised.
Oops. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to respond to Mr. Levin from the teacher surveying standpoint. So Kim and I are the teacher representatives on the LSC, so we survey teaching staff at Jones regarding a variety of topics, including safety. And in particular, in June, that safety survey was regarding the SRO vote that was forthcoming. So just to let you know the data that we got in June, which is after CPS shifted what the question really was, what the parameters were. It used to be a binary, right? Like retain or remove. And then we were allowed the option to retain 0, 1, or 2 SROs. And the whole concept of the whole school safety plan was put into place starting last school year. So just like the parameters were a little bit shifted. Out of the teacher respondents, 53% who responded to our survey said they would like to retain 0 SROs. 32% said they would like to retain 1 SRO, and 15% said they would like to retain 2 SROs. So I just wanted to clarify, because this is something that has been surveyed about multiple times, and because CPS has changed kind of like what the question is, the results have changed over time as well. So hopefully that provides a little bit of clarity about that very small portion.
Thank you all for your responses.
Thanks, Ellen. And Dr. Powers, did you have another comment on that?
Yes, just to, with regard to the whole school safety plan, I believe the whole school safety plan coming out of that committee recommended the retention of 1 SRO. That was the recommendation, but apparently that was I see a head shaking here and there, but I remember that being one of the recommendations.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I think, and Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what the first draft we saw might have said retain one, and then you came back a second time and it was recommendation was not to retain. Is that correct?
From my memory, yes. We were going back and forth between retaining 1 or retaining 0,
Right.
but our final recommendation was retaining 0.
I think Dr. Pars, you might have missed the meeting where that revision was made. Thank you.
Roberto?
Yeah, so I just want to address the whole school safety plan, 2 points. So Jadine Chow, who's the director of the school safety department at CPS, her approach for this process was to take a holistic view of what whole school safety looks like and reimagine it for every school in their particular situation. And I think the Health and Safety Committee did an excellent job of addressing this, as well as the whole school committee. They took this process. This was announced in March, and I believe Rachel took the lead to make sure that this process was going to be comprehensive and was able to receive feedback from various stakeholders. So we got this directive in March. And if it wasn't for Rachel really encouraging the administrative leadership team to look into this process and take a hold of it and lead it with courage and compassion and empathy to reimagine the Jones School whole safety plan and taking a holistic approach, I think we would have been in a different situation. But they did a wonderful job of presenting the data. And I think Mr. Mitchell, when they collected the data from the students' survey, as well as the parents and the teachers, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Mitchell had mentioned and indicated that it was that right now the recommendation was to either remove both SROs or remove one SRO. And it was up to the LSC to make that decision, taking into account the various elements of that process. So I think this committee, the whole school safety committee, the health and safety committee did a fantastic job of collecting the data, synthesizing that data, making a presentation to the LSC to make a very informed decision. And in return, right, part of that, I think Ellen was alluding to this, it wasn't necessarily a binary. It was Jadine Chow's office had indicated that if you turn in an SRO or both SROs, you would get $50,000 for each to supplement the whole school. So what we decided to do based on the recommendation was to add an additional security member to the team, not a police officer, but a security member to the team to help with arrivals and departures and everything in between. And in addition to that, the other recommendation was to hire a culture and climate coordinator to help with the restorative practices, to help with the anti-racism, anti-bias that's been an ongoing issue at Jones. So I think that we try to address those two things with this directive from CPS, with feedback from Jones, from all stakeholders from the Jones school community, and we made a very informed decision. And I think so far it's been the right decision, in my opinion.
Thanks, Roberto. So we have Marianne Siegel listed, but I think she is sending in her comment from what it sounds like. But it's very short, so I'll read it. Unfortunately, I cannot share in person because of the timing of this meeting. However, I would like to express my appreciation this Principal Appreciation Week for Dr. Powers. Thank you. And that is Marianne Siegel. Next, public comment. Sarah Ma signed up. Do you want to go ahead, Sarah?
Yeah, I had some parents reach out to me with two issues. One issue was the PSAT and wondering why the sophomores aren't taking the PSAT in the fall as other selective enrollment high schools are. That's the first question. If we have plans for it, and then also, have we done it historically, and other schools also have them take it twice. So I'll let you answer that in the Dr. Powers, and then I'll ask my second question.
No, we have not historically done the PSAT for freshmen and sophomores in the fall. We do have it scheduled for April. We're going to look at mid-year possible practice PSAT for freshmen and sophomores if they wish to, but that has not been one that we have scheduled in the fall.
Okay. I think there's some parents that would like you to revisit that and maybe think about doing that. There was also parents reaching out to me to see they're not sure how to get their questions answered. If the best way is to email. One particular parent reached out to me with concerns of how long it has taken the counseling department to email their child with some time sensitive things. Also emails to administration not being returned. Is there a point person in the office that can help answer questions? It just there was some frustration with communication to the point that parents wanted to volunteer at the open house so they could warn parents that the communication is terrible. So I just wanted to share that and get your response and go back to them.
I'm sorry, Sarah, what was the last thing you said about parents volunteering at open house to do what?
To warn other prospective parents about poor communication at the school.
That's very nice of you to say.
I am just the messenger.
Thank you very much. And I wish somebody bring that to my attention more directly. We try to get back to people as quickly as we can. Generally speaking, we ask that our staff, and that includes the administrative team, try to get back within 24 to 48 hours to people, depending on the sense of urgency involved. But sometimes that's not possible. Communications coming in at a certain time when maybe we don't have an opportunity to. And we try to get back, like I said, as quickly as we can. I personally get approximately 200 emails a day on school business and other things, and try to get back to as many people as I can, or redirect if it's not a question for me, but a question for somebody else. I cannot speak for the counseling department, but I can speak for administration. We do our very best, and if we can do it more quickly, we will certainly try.
Well, would there be a better way for you so that it wouldn't just plop in your email box? Would it be better to have like a form on the website where parents could put concerns in, and then maybe administrators could kind of share that responsibility? I know that you get a lot of emails, so I'm just also trying to think of ways to make that better.
I think what we're looking at right now is more of a crush time than has normally been the case. There's a lot going on, has been a lot going on, and a lot of our time is taken up during the course of the day and even into the evenings with many different things to have to be taken care of. So I don't think having some type of intermediary type of thing. We do have a general inbox, but then that has to be monitored separately, and then a decision made as to who could best field those questions. I'd rather receive questions directly. One thing I do recommend is if somebody is uncertain, let's say a parent is uncertain as to who to contact on the administrative team, to contact all of us simultaneously. And that way we can sort out who responds and who is able to take care of that. And of course, we provide that information directly to everyone so that they know how to get hold of us, including our direct office phone numbers.
Thanks, Dr. Powers. Sarah, does that conclude your comment?
Yeah, I will report back to those parents.
Okay, the next group that signed up for public participation is the student cast and crew of the Complete Works of Shakespeare Abridged. They have a statement. So for the other LSC members, I think the body of this statement probably needs to be read in closed session because it covers a lot of stuff that probably is, I'm not sure, I think it might be personnel matters. I think I would prefer to cover that in the closed session under the exception for personnel matters. I'll read the first paragraph and the last paragraph. That was what they were hoping to have shared publicly. And then we can check, and if it, if it's something that we should share as a public participation statement, we can put it in the minutes. But I want to check on that first. So I think this is probably the best way to do it. So this is, I think they said it's 30 cast and crew members of the what was going to be the Complete Works fall play. So on October 1st, the Jones College Prep principal released a statement to students, parents, and faculty regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. This email largely focused on the progress Jones had been making in student safety and well-being. The timing of this email was somewhat stinging, given that the same day Jones students came forward regarding their drama teacher's racist behavior. Despite the efforts cited by Dr. Powers and the rest of the administrative team, Jones students have not felt safe in the drama program for a long time. In the following statement, the cast of the fall play, Complete Works, will briefly but thoroughly describe their concerns regarding the school's drama teacher and director, Mr. Lyons. The final paragraph is the email sent out last Friday regarding what occurred with Complete Works deeply sanitized the events. To clarify, the termination of the show was not because of creative differences. The play was canceled because the teacher could not handle constructive criticism coming from an emotional cast and crew who felt it morally unjust to continue the way he was directing. Lyons, in his own words, decided no show, nothing's funny, it's all offensive. The email also does not point out that the new play, Horror 101, is student directed and that Mr. Lyons is no longer a part of the production. In this new production, students stepped into leadership roles to take on the position Lyons left when he stormed out of the cast meeting and canceled the show. We've already lost 3 shows to COVID and quarantine, and the student theater community will not let another chance, the last chance for our seniors, slip away from us. Thank you for your time. So for the LSC, I'll share the middle of that letter in the closed session when we go into closed session for the parent vacancy discussion. Dr. Powers?
Yes, I think reading that also already violated the whole concept of a personnel matter going into closed session, but we'll let that go since it's already been revealed.
I think an event that involves 30 students is essentially public, so there you are. Okay, the other
Not
things
when you
mentioned
can easily
are
identify
smaller.
an individual staff member. I take exception to that.
Noted. Okay, next on the agenda is the parent representative vacancy. And so I think we will run this like we have done previous ones. Parents, parent candidates, you can have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and then LSC council members, you can ask some questions. Please try to take turns, and if you've already asked a question, give someone else a turn. And with question answers, let's keep them to a minute or less. And I think that is all. So let me bring up my list of candidates. Okay. So Carolina Alessio, and apologies to everyone in advance for probably not doing a great job with everyone's names pronunciation. So, oops, you're still muted.
Okay. All right, great. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Carolyn Alessio. Buenas tardes y gracias por su tiempo. Mi nombre es Carolina Alessio. During a time when in education, when we constantly hear the term hybrid, I guess I'm a bit of a hybrid myself. I'm a longtime teacher at a private school in Pilsen that's dual language, and it's devoted to the education of children of family with limited resources. Many are immigrant families, and most of the students are first generation college. At the same time, I'm the product of public education through grad school and the parent of 2 children who were educated entirely in CPS. Diversity in its many exciting forms has been their greatest source of education. As a member of the LSC, I would strive to elicit feedback from as many Jones parents as possible and as many families. Listening and reflecting back, recording, is my main tool. I trained as a journalist. I also worked at the Chicago Tribune as an editor, and I was also a lecturer at Southern Illinois University and a fellow at Emory University. In both the school where I work and Jones, social justice is one of the key features of our grad statement. And it's another thing I was thinking about earlier in the meeting tonight. Social justice is always an evolving process, and it involves all of us learning from each other constantly, learning and listening, trying to get it right. One thing I appreciate, one of the many things I appreciate about Jones is that students are being taught how to try to advocate. If they don't always get it right, they're working on it, and so are we. My daughter, who's now a sophomore in college, helped work for Jones's installation of new and free menstrual hygiene machines in all the women's bathrooms. She found an Illinois law stating that the supply should be free and not all the machines worked. She was a junior at the time, and I don't imagine she was very smooth about it and probably pretty demanding. But I appreciate it that our administration met with her,
2
talked
minutes.
to her.
Sorry, 2 minutes. Just
That's it. Okay. Anyway, thank you for your time. And I look forward to hearing more from Jones.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to go alphabetical by first name, which is sort of weird, but there you all are. Elizabeth Kent.
she withdrew her name. She withdrew her
Right.
name.
Okay. And then I don't see Greg Rishpinsky on here, so we will skip Greg for now.
He indicated that he might be running late. I'm not sure whether he'll be arriving shortly or not.
Okay, we can keep him on hold until the end of the list. Lenny Mana Hoppenworth.
Yeah, and just clarification, I'll say 2 minutes and then you can like wrap up your, sorry, Caroline, I didn't say that, but you can, say one more sentence or 2 more sentences after I say 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lenny Mana Hoppenworth. I am in Andersonville. I was born on the south side of Chicago, but raised in the south suburbs. I have to apologize because I think that my 1995 MacBook blew a speaker. So if I sound funny or if I can't hear you, that's the reason why. I'm a second generation Filipino American. I graduated from the Chicago Academy for the Arts, and I have a degree in physical therapy. I graduated from UIC in '97, and that's where I met my husband of 24 years. I have 3 kids. My oldest one, all of them went to Pierce School in the neighborhood. The oldest one graduated from Lane, and he's at Northwestern now. My 2, the middle one, Sydney, she's a junior at Jones, and the youngest one is a sophomore, Sam. And we have been up here in Andersonville for all this time. Yesterday was National Coming Out Day. I came out to my family as bi, so we're congratulating me on that. But this is part of the ongoing conversation of just being a better person and really reflecting on your past and being true to yourself. And so I try to be a model for my kids in that. I work at the Chicago Reader on the sales side, that's the business side. And I have a statewide indivisible volunteer group, and we're activists. We work in the electoral space. I am a physical therapist, but I love the arts, and that's the reason why I opened up a small business called Chicago Dance Supplies. So I have a little boutique in the neighborhood, and along with that, I am just this year I'm new on the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce. So we're excited to, talk about how we as an ecosystem can move forward in the time of COVID as we open up, also post George Floyd and Adam Toledo, and really look to see exactly who—
2 minutes. Sorry, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Who our new executive director might be. So I am excited to be here. I would love to be nominated to this team. Thank you for letting me listen in so far. I am not afraid of hard conversations. I think that being uncomfortable is where we start, and then we move together from there.
Thanks so much, Lenny. And let me switch over here. Okay, so no Mary Claire Maxwell. Next up then is Radiah Smith-Donald.
Hi, good evening. I'm Radiah Smith-Donald. I'm the parent of a current senior at Jones. I raised my hand for this because I actually thought there might be a shortage of volunteers, and I wanted to support the school if needed. It seems like, though, there's been a really great response to the call, and after reading through the candidate statements, it's clear there are a lot of highly qualified candidates, including people who've already volunteered at Jones in other ways and have experience being on LSCs. So I just want to mention, personally, I feel really confident about the options for the LSC, and just feel really good about that as a parent at the school, that the LSC is going to be in good hands. As I noted in my candidate statement, I have experience with local volunteer-run organizations. I've volunteered for years on the board of a for-fun, family-focused organization, which was AYSO Soccer. I also was on the board of a civic-minded, sometimes contentious, Park Advisory Council for the past 6 years. And I'm an active member of the Parents Association at my kids' grade school. But I just want to put out there that I do not have any previous LSC experience. I've been looking through the materials and recordings from the previous meetings for Jones and also for some of the other LSCs. Just in case I am the person who's appointed, I want to try and get beefed up. But I am a quick study, but I would definitely have some learning to do. So just the last thing I want to say on behalf of myself and my student is just thank you to the parents and the staff and community members who have volunteered their effort and energy to do this work over the past years. I really appreciate that as a parent at the school. Thanks.
Thanks, Radiah. And a reminder to everyone, we only have one parent vacancy in the LSC, but we have 3 standing committees. And if we have sufficient interest, there are other topics that could support a standing committee. So definitely do not leave this meeting thinking that there is nothing for you to do. So there's a lot. Okay, next, Rakesh Madhava.
Hello, am I on? Good. All right. Hi, my name is Rakesh Madhava. I'm a father of a sophomore, Nikhil Madhava at Jones, and I am a enthusiastic supporter of community-based leadership direction like this. It's just been like already in this. I'm just like Radiah said, I'm like you're in great shape, like you've got people who are really engaged in their community, and so I just want to help, and if I can help, I'm thrilled to. So I'm an entrepreneur. I started a legal software technology business 20 years ago in Bucktown. My wife is an entrepreneur as well, and she has a retail store, and and so I think the things that I'd be able to bring is, I know there's a lot of discussion in here, and which hasn't happened today, about like budgets and how budgets line up, and like it's kind of like running a business. Like I run a small business, I'm good at running a small business. I mean, good enough. Like like I can run a small business, so I think I'd be able to impact in that way. I've lived in Chicago for 30 years and went to Northwestern for undergrad. I live in Andersonville, and just a huge fan of this overall process, and would love to participate. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Thanks. Next up, oh wait, Lenny, did you have a question in here with your hand up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to make a correction. I think that I misspoke and I said that my middle kid was anyway, senior and junior, not junior and sophomore. I know this is being recorded, so I apologize to them.
This will not be held against you. Raquel, Don, next up.
Hi, my name is Raquel Don. I am a retired accountant, and my partner is a Chicago firefighter, and we have 3 children. All of them were CPS students. Our oldest graduated from Jones, and he is now a 3rd-year NYU student. Our middle student is a freshman at Jones, and our youngest is a 7th grader at our neighborhood CPS school. So like I said, I'm retired, and now I dedicate my time to my family, my kids' schools, my community. So I have always been involved in my kids' schools. I have been on the Parent Advisory Council, the Bilingual Advisory Council. I am in the 7th year of my local school council, parent representative at my kids' elementary school. I am currently on the Parent Board of Governors, which is selected by CPS to represent the entire district. My family and I am mixed, and along with my partner, we are a multiracial family. We also have our children in the LGBTQ community, and my children and I are also part of the neurodiverse community. So I feel that we would have a lot of feedback and be able to reflect on the large body of the Jones community, speaking of the students and families at Jones. And I'm very honored to be part of this great group of candidates for the LSC. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Raquel. And then Simon Shu is listed. Did he email?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I can't believe I forgot. I am also the vice chairperson of Friends of Jones, and this is my 2nd time being on the Friends of Jones board. That's it for real. I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
No worries. Simon, I don't think is here, but he didn't email, so we will skip him as well for now. Greg has not appeared. And then our final parent on the list is Zerlina. Zerlina Smith Members. Where are you?
Hi guys, I apologize. I'm on vacation hiking with my auntie for her 70th birthday, but let me go into it because I'm with my daughter Cherish. I'm a former LSC chair of Maria Salcedo Elementary School. Cherish is now in private school. I have a sophomore newly to Jones. He loves the school. We love the school. I have the qualifications. I'm trying to think fast before another wind comes and they call us up to climb again. I have the qualifications. I am a community organizer by blood. I work for labor unions most of my adult life. I've worked side by side with Cassie as a board member for Raise Your Hands. I'm a co-founder of Parents Across America. I write policy with some of our legislators, state rep. I'm an Austin community resident. We own a home. My husband is a Cook County sheriff. He ran for congressman in the 7th district a couple of years ago, and I also ran for alderman in the 29th ward. And I sit on multiple chairs across the country, so and in my community. So I'll leave it at that because they're calling me. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Zerlina. Okay. I do not see Greg And I do not see Simon, and I think we checked off anyone else who's missing, right? So I think we will open it. Oops, Carolina, did you have a question or a last
Yes,
comment?
I would be happy to be on one of those committees too. So I feel like everyone I listen to would be a fantastic parent rep. So I'm ready to go on a committee. So I can slide into that area too. Happy to do it.
Great. Yes, the best, most successful vacancy filling yields lots of committee members too, which I think has happened for
Fantastic.
both of our last
Great.
seats.
Okay.
And okay, so council members, do you have questions for any of the applicants? Roberto?
Yes, can you hear me? Excellent. So I just want to echo Radius McDonald's comment about I appreciate everyone's participation and interest and involvement. And it's clear that we have unbelievable and wonderful and thoughtful candidates from various neighborhoods of Chicago and from different perspectives and experiences. So thank you all so much. And just to encourage everyone, we do have 3 committees. We have the equity committee, we have the budget committee, and we have the health and safety committee. So I encourage you all to reach out to the various chairs of those committee. I'm the one of the co-chairs for the equity committee. So my question is, aside from the school budget, which is always an issue or challenge, what's one thing or one area of improvement for the school? Where do you see there is an issue or a problem at the school, and how would you resolve it? And using your experiences and your background, how would you help the LSC and the school administrative leadership to surface those problems and address them accordingly? And this is an open question to any of the candidates.
Great, I will coordinate that. And Sarah's kind of keeping an eye on the time, so try to keep it under a minute. She'll pop in when it's a minute. And Rakesh, did I say your name with the right sounds at the end? I feel like I did
You
not.
did.
Yeah?
It's great, Rakesh. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, when you're addressing a communications challenge as diverse as the things are with Jones, it's gonna be a real challenge. And I think, the thing that we're all facing is the rapid and complete shift to digital we're doing this conference right now on a Teams call. And I think we've kind of, sort of skipped over the idea that like this was a weird thing to do. But I know for my business, it's been a huge challenge. And it's a thing that I'm like, really trying to figure out is that like all of our organizations have to become much more sophisticated about how we're going to communicate over digital to our respective populations. And I don't think Jones has done a bad job, but I don't think that we're all figuring this out. And so that to me is the most interesting part of this problem is that like I think that's the thing that would be able to bring is like I think we need to develop a new set of communication strategies.
Thanks so much. Does anyone else want to take this question from the candidates? Lenny, do you want to go?
Hi, yeah, regarding a problem, I think one of the first things that a group might first do is review the purpose of the group and then together decide on exactly what is the problem. Because I think that if you have a clear mission, vision, and goal of a group, then the problem should be very clear. Who needs to be centered. I think that it becomes difficult with a large diverse group of people, but also that's really what makes democracy so amazing and fascinating and awesome. So being able to do all those things and actually take the time to work through all that is really super important.
Thanks, Lenny. And let's see here. Rachel, do you want to hold on to your question and we'll have Simon's statement? And yeah, let's do that.
Hi, my name is Simon Ciwp, and my 3 kids is go to Jones, and 2 already graduated, and then 1 is a 4th grade teacher. The other one still looking for the job, and then my son should be graduating next year. And I'm retired for over 10 years already, and then usually I help some Chinese just like translate some document, just like COVID-19, you know, that kind of document. And then my 3 kids is go to Jones, and okay, I don't know why I have a background coming up.
I think if you mute or stop your YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of delay in it.
Oh, okay. Well, I should know because I'm IT professional. I have a hard time to get into the link. Yeah, and then I'm the chairman of the Haiti Star for the non-profit organization helping Robert Healy to raise some fundraising. Yeah, and then well, I heard a lot of candidates, they were pretty good too. Yeah, and then there's like some people is helping alderman, you know, that kind of stuff. The background, yeah. I'm helping aldermen do a lot of volunteer job once a while. Yeah. And then right now, because my daughter is a 4th grade teacher, and then her kid doesn't have the vaccine, so most of the time I will be far away from the senior people. So when I go to store, I always do that. And then once a while, if I don't feel good, I always do a testing. Yeah. So I'm faithful for SRO too, but I heard to say majority you guys thinking about without SRO, and then security is still good, and then let's see what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, two minutes.
Different.
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, Simon. Did anyone else want to answer Roberto's question? I mean, you might need to. Raquel, go ahead.
Thank you. Let me put my hand down. So what I would like to see more at Jones is like more family events. And that's something that I started at my kids' elementary school. We have a lot of multicultural family events to celebrate everyone, get to know each other, you know, not just families, you know, the staff of the school too, because I think it's really important for us to all connect since we are all supposed to be a team in educating the kids. So that's what I wanted to say to Roberto.
Thanks. And Rachel, where did you go? Rachel, do you want to give your question?
Yes, thank you. I'll make it quick, but maybe like, I don't know, 1 or 2 or however many. I was just wondering, so there's a lot of, this is like a democratic body. And so I was wondering, we have a lot of conflict sometimes, and it's public conflict. And I think most of us are no longer afraid of it. But I was wondering if there's an example of a public conflict that you have encountered and navigated through, and what that looked like for you. So thanks.
Rakesh? Oops, you are muted.
Thank you. It's a hard thing, conflict. Like, it's not an easy thing to deal with in organizations. I mean, that's the thing that I enjoy about organizations, is that like it's a lot of diverse viewpoints, and that's what I again particularly love about living in Chicago, and being able to be in a community with people who are from have many different perspectives. I think the essential point of any conflict, like I mean, and I just don't like when I'm dealing with it in my business is that like you got to understand where everyone's coming from, and like people are coming from a place where they've got a thing that they care about and they're passionate about, and by acknowledging it and recognizing it, I think you can like listening is a really critical skill. So that's that's my approach to conflict is like make sure you listen first and don't come up with your answer, like hear where somebody's coming from and try to figure out where what that thing is that they're feeling passionate about.
Radia?
So with my work with the advisory council, for sure, there's been public discord. I agree with what Rakesh was saying about listening and making space for people to be heard as being really vital to managing that. Also, I try to emphasize that the notion of assuming goodwill, right? That 99% of people that are stepping up in these situations are doing it for a good reason. And while we might not agree with, the perspective, everyone's there because they're trying to do something good. And if we can remember that, then I think, and sometimes we just need to explicitly remind each other of that, then it helps to move through and to also just be more open to what other people are bringing to the table. So I guess that's sort of the first thing, is just trying to remind everyone to assume goodwill, and then from there to try to keep your ears open hold your voice for a little bit and keep your ears open.
Thanks. And is it E or I, the sound at the end of your name? I thought it was Radia. Is that right?
Radia, yeah.
And I was like, oh God, now I'm correcting myself, but okay. Yes.
No, I get all versions, so yeah.
Yeah. And anyone else want to take that question? Go ahead, Radia.
Sorry, I just wanted to also loop that back to Roberto's question a bit about something that I see at Jones, which is that, of course, the school has a diverse population of students, especially, but also we do have these different stakeholders that are bringing all of their own stuff. So we've got students, we've got parents, which are not always the same as students. We've got teachers, and so again, I don't know that I don't see it as being specific to Jones, but because of how large the school is and because of how committed everyone at the school is to education, no one's there bringing half of their game. Everyone's there with their whole heart. So there's a lot of passion that needs to be not monitored, but managed and helped so that it goes in the most productive direction for the school.
Thanks. And council members, do you have one more question for last round? Anyone? Elaine? Oops, you're just muted.
Pardon me.
No
first of all, I want to say thank you to all the parents who've taken the time to apply for this position. We know as parents we're busy, so thank you to you all. My question is, I would like for everyone to respond in one word. What is your preferred future for Jones College Prep?
This is Lenny. To be clear, your question is, what is your one word that you would like, that we would like for Jones? Is that correct?
Yes. So a preferred future for Jones? One word.
Thank you. That's an interesting question. And I think the first word that comes to my mind is just. I would like to see a just Jones world.
Thanks, Lenny. Rakesh? Oops, you're on mute.
The one word that comes to mind is enlightened.
Pardon me, would you mind repeating that? I'm sorry.
Sorry, am I working? Can people hear me here? Am I on? Am I good? All right.
Yeah, that
The
was
one word
just-
that came to
was just
mind,
my-
whereas I was like, where do I want my kid to go to school? I was like, it's a place that's enlightened. I'd like it to be an enlightened place.
Thank you.
Harmonious.
Raquel? Other candidates have their one-word summary. Well, vision, their one-word vision. Zerlina, Simon, Carolina, Radaya. Make sure I did not forget anyone. Simon?
Only one word, right? Great.
Thanks.
Did you want me to say something?
Do you have a one-word vision of what you would like Jones to be?
Everyone. Oh, sorry.
Anyone else? Wait, who did we next? Carolina, I guess. And if you have one, oh wait, Radaya, you did not give one, and then Zerlina, if you have one. Go ahead, Radaya.
This is a very tricky question. Ambitious.
And anyone else? This is a good lightning round.
Just to be clear, I'm not in the running anymore.
Okay.
I'll go to a committee.
Zerlina said passionate.
Diplomatic.
Okay, I think that is everyone. So I think that's a good summing up of that. So I think we can go into closed session. Troy sent the link earlier. And we will be doing it for personnel matter and for, I think it's actually the same exception, but to fill a vacancy, to discuss a candidate for that. So yes. I think
Peace out. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yes.
And we'll come back to this meet. We will come back to this meet. So if you're not going to the closed session, you're welcome to stay on the current meet. Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Raquel,
What
does
time
that
are we
answer your
supposed to
question?
come back?
You could just go do some stuff. We don't know how long the closed session will be.
Cassie, it's 2 p.m. here. I'm in Hawaii. And I'm hiking. Oh, Jesus.
Yes, I guess we will just, you kind of have to hover around.
Wait, are you guys going to a breakout session or we stay here?
Yeah. You
Oh,
guys-
okay.
yes,
All right.
yes,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That clarifies my question. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
So if you're watching the YouTube, that will show you when we're back. Okay, so after council members will go to the closed session. So we're recessing here. So we'll unrecess. And Sarah, do you want to call roll?
Yes, so, sorry, 729, Andrade,
Here.
Bowman,
Here.
Bugs,
Present.
Serna Prado,
Here.
Cresswell,
Here.
Hilbrands,
Here.
Land,
Here.
Ma here, Martinsek,
Here.
Menjivar. Roberto? Okay, let me know when he comes in. Dr. Powers,
Here.
Zen.
Here.
Okay.
Deborah, do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to move that we fill our open Jones Local School Council Parent Representative seat with Lenny Minna-Hoppenworth.
I second.
Dr. Powers?
Yes, I would like to nominate Raquel Don to fill the position.
I second.
Okay, I think we can, if there's any debate on the first motion, we'll have that, and then we'll hold the vote. So does anyone have any debate on the first motion or comments?
Sure, how do you, how's the best way to do this?
I think then we'll just hold the vote on the first motion, and then depending whether it passes or fails, then we'll consider the second motion.
Okay, I just wanted to reiterate that I liked Lenny's unapologetic statement that her many connections with her hospital work, small business, and with Indivisible really showed me that she can bring unity to the council and to the community. And I think that her skills would be highly valued in this council. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Any other points while debate is open? Seeing none, I guess we can do the vote on the first motion. So do you want to read it, Sarah?
Oh, the motion?
Yes.
Yes, Land made a motion to fill the open Jones College Prep open parent LSC position with Lenny. Okay, sorry. And then I'm not going to say her whole name because I can't find it. I'm sorry. I didn't type it out yet. And I seconded. And I will take a roll call. Sorry. Andrade.
Yay.
Bowman.
Yay.
Bugs.
Yes.
Serna Prado.
Yeah.
Cresswell.
Yes.
Hilbrands.
Abstain.
Land.
Yes.
Ma, yes. Martinsek.
Yes.
Menjivar.
Yes.
Powers.
Abstain.
Zen.
Yes.
And I didn't forget anybody, did I? I'm sorry. Okay, that was going to be 10 in favor. So that motion carries.
So I think since that motion carries, that actually fills the vacancy. And so I think the other motion is just naturally withdrawn or no longer on the table. Okay. So congratulations, Lenny. We're super excited to have you join the council. Thank you so much to everyone who applied. It's a great group. And we expect to see you at committee meetings. So don't sneak away. And you can, I think in the monthly emails, we put the like the email addresses for the committee chairs. So that's the best way to get in touch with them. Or if you just email the generic Jones address, Jones LSC address, we'll put you in touch too.
And I'll reach out to everyone. Thank you. It was such a great, fantastic group of people. Thank you so much.
So we have the state of the school report up next. And it is 7:30. Dr. Powers, do you want to go right into it, or would you prefer like a, 3-minute recess or something? Okay, we can do a break probably after the state of the school report or between the state of the school and the CIWP component.
We try to move this along as quickly as we can. I would like Dr. Plunkett, if she is on, she is going to provide the overview for the CIWP. If she is not on right now, we can come back to her later on.
Dr. Powers, I am here,
Well,
and
thank you.
I appreciate you letting me do this right now. I'll turn on my camera. I've got a lot of other things going on this evening. So let me turn on my camera and get to my presenting. I may have to pop up, excuse myself for a couple minutes to take care of something at home. It is 7:30 at night. So let me just present. Hang on, let me pull up okay, so I'm going to present. All right, I believe everyone can see. I'm going to put it in present mode now so it's a little easier to see. All righty, so this is our CIWP report for October 12th, 2021. I apologize that I could not be here at the last meeting. I had a family commitment, and while I love Jones College Prep more than anybody, my family does take priority. So just a reminder that the CIWP, it's a 2-year cycle. So we're in the 2020-2022 cycle right now. And this is a reminder to everyone that this is a living, working document. It's not something that is set in stone and sits there. It's something that can be tweaked, will be tweaked, and can go back and revisit at many times. So this may be a repeat for some people because I have given parts of this presentation to the faculty, for example, or at the health and safety committee meetings. I've given part of that. So just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, and those of you who may not have seen my report before. So the steps in this, we gather data, we examine data, then we look at the school excellence framework ratings, which is based on our data. And this is all done by the CIWP team. We identify areas of critical need. And once those areas are identified, we set goals. And we do a root cause analysis to see why these areas of critical need exist. And so this is not necessarily a linear process. These 4 steps kind of spiral and kind of work together. And then after the root cause analysis, we select our SEF, our School Excellent Framework priorities, to facilitate achieving the goals we want to achieve. And then we create our strategies, and these strategies are theories of action that will address our priorities and goals. And then we create action steps for the strategies. So those are the basic steps. So just to give you a little idea of what we originally looked at when we were creating our CIWP, SQRP data provided by CPS, vision metrics data that's provided by CPS, 5 essential survey data, and faculty and staff survey data. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the 5 essential survey is a survey that there's a component where teachers can respond, parents can respond, and students can respond. So our goals for our school for Jones in the 2020-2022 cycle. We have, and our first goal is our SAT cohort growth percentile. And so the data that was provided us for school year at the end of 2019, we had 61 for our overall, and our free and reduced lunch eligible, those are students who are on a lower socioeconomic status, was at 39%. So we really wanted to work on our growth. So I want to clarify that growth is how much students are growing from year to year, not how well they're doing. So, and you can see we had goals for 2021 and 21-22 school years. Another was from our vision metrics was our overall attendance rate was at 91.3. And you can see our goals for 2020-2021 were to be at 93, and then the 21-22 school year to be at 94%. But then we also wanted to specifically address our African American attendance rate, which was at 88.4%, and we wanted to bring that up 93 and 94% as well. Our AP exam rate success was, we were at, for African American students, we were at 82.4%, and we want to bring that up to match to be 85% for the following 2 years. Also, our students with IEPs, they were only having AP success of only 42.9% were being successful, and we wanted to increase that. And you can see we wanted to go up to 50 and then eventually 55%. We also then created some custom metrics based on the data. One metric was the number of times the MTSS team, and when it's formally created, meets during the school year. And this fulfills our need 1 and our need 3. And this is how we would measure it. Our 5 essential survey, we wanted to increase communicates clear vision for our school, which is going to be addressed in our need 4, and you can see here's our goals, 60%, 70 to 80%. We wanted to increase our parent completion rate of the 5 essential survey. In the year when we were looking at this, we did not have enough data. And then we also wanted to increase teacher completion rate and trust, focus on teacher administration, trust, and similarly to the other, we wanted to increase the agree and strongly agree percentages to 40, 50, and 60% progressively over the cycle. So here's our areas of focus, and I want to be clear that these are not in any particular order. We just had to assign each area of focus a number. So it's not that one is more important than the other. We just for the purposes of the Ciwp, and for those of you that don't know, that means continuous improvement work plan. So there's school effectiveness categories, and so depth and breadth of student learning and quality of teaching. So MTSS is in there. And then also under depth and breadth of student learning and quality teaching is instruction. That's another area of focus. And then leadership and structure for continuous improvement. That structure for continuous improvement. I'm sorry. And then the last one, quality and character of school life relational trust. So, theories of action were created to address these priorities. Leadership checks in on progress and monitors progress during leadership team meetings. Leadership works to update Ciwp document. This is a working, living document. Sometimes things get updated more quickly than others. As I'm sure you know, at school, much of our day is spent with students, talking to students, doing a myriad of things. So sometimes we do something, but it's not necessarily put into the online dashboard, but it's done and we document it, and then we kind of update things not all at once, but like piecemeal. So, theories of action. Our first, I apologize. Our first theory of action, and I'm not going to read it all to you, but if we do this, then we will see that, which leads to something. And that is like excuse me, I'm going to have to, just give me 1 minute. Okay, everyone, I apologize. I'm back. So our first theory of action revolved around our MTSS. And if we intentionally and purposely implement the process, and the team works with the administration to establish a clear system, then we will see increased efficiency, engagement, and direction of the MTSS team. With an increased likelihood, team will meet more often and be more committed to the referral process for student need of intervention, which in turn leads to improved SAT cohort growth for our overall student body and our free reduced lunch eligible students, improved attendance rates for overall and African American students, and improved AP exam success for African American students and students with IEPs, and also an increase in the number of times MTSS team meets during the school year. So our action steps, which recruit and establish an MTSS team. The team would create a referral system implemented, team meets monthly, bi-weekly to go through referrals, CIWT monitors successes, struggles, and needs on an annual basis. The admin meets with MTSS team quarterly to assess needs and to provide assistance. So progress, check in on action steps. So our theory of action 1, the team was originally recruited and created in June of 2020. And just a reminder, during this time, we were, everyone was remote, no one was back in school. MTSS team met in September, a referral form was set up, sent to the faculty. Our team decided to wait until progress reports to allow teachers time to do classroom interventions before the referral. And at that time, because of the remote learning situation, MTSS was easy to get conflated with students not engaging to school in relation to the remote learning environment. So there was a lot of overlap there. The referral process and plan was completed on November 11th and sent to teachers on November 12th. Regular meetings were held from June 2020 to January 2021. MTSS plans created December 20, and check in with teachers, family, and students for support. So, and I want to, I'm just going to add this, and I've mentioned this before. I mentioned this to our faculty. It was not intentional for us to kind of, so to speak, for this process not to be sustainable, but truth be told, I was the person in charge kind of the MTSS team at the time, and I don't think I need to remind you what happened to me last December, so it kind of got a little off track, but we are back on track, and I feel we've got strong things happening. So MTSS 2021-2022, how are we progressing? So right now, we are implementing an equity-based multi-tiered system of supports, which is a series of coordinated systems and structures that, when implemented with fidelity and rooted in the instructional core, result in positive benefits for all students. Data-driven analysis and decisions will inform our ability of the school and the teachers to provide equitable access to Tier 1 curriculum and instruction for all students. not just some students, all students. I think it's really important to note that Tier 1 is for all students. Every single student in every single class gets Tier 1. So we are like committed to this, and it's MTSS should address the needs of the whole child. That includes academic, social, emotional, and culturally relevant, and using evidence-based intervention and progress monitoring. So we're committed to bringing out MTSS implementation with finality to a new level. And this year we know we are going to have ever expanding needs due to the effects of the pandemic. There's many social emotional issues, students who have not been in school for long periods of time. I'm sure everyone here can attest to the effects that this has had on all of our students, not just Jones students, but students all over the city and the country for that matter. So I did link this here for a more comprehensive look. You can reference this. I can pull this up very quickly. Hang on. Just give me a minute and I will pull it up. I might have to go back to that because that is really bizarre since I am the owner and it won't let me pull it up. That's okay. Give me a minute. There's the problem. Okay. Okie dokie. I apologize. My computer is signed into my personal email, so it's thinking that I am not, I don't have access. So just give me a minute.
Hi, Dr. Plunkett. It's okay. We can share this doc
Okay.
and you know, link it to the minutes and
That's
stuff.
fine.
That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just move on. It was just, I've got my other Gmail is open, so it's thinking, it's recognizing that, not my CPS one. So there's a MTSS guide. And so just so you know, right now, the meeting dates for our MTSS team for semester 1 and semester 2, they're all set for the year already. So we've got that all set. So professional development for teachers, we gave a MTSS presentation to faculty during our 0 week, our PD. We also planned professional development for September 22nd during our principal directed PD time, and that we basically focus, it was an introduction again, focusing on Tier 1, and that was fairly well received from the feedback that we received from faculty who attended. So the link to the MTSS guide is there too. And we will also be using our OST program and funding to help provide Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions outside of the classroom. So there is also, and it's probably not going to let me share that either. Oh, it's letting me share that one. So that's kind of strange. But anyway, I'll just share that really quickly. So here is our out of school time guide, what we have. So we have all kinds of programs, and some of these might be like tutoring if a student needs an academic intervention, working in small groups with peer tutors or something like that. However, there may be students who need an SEL intervention or some other type of enrichment. So we have all different types. Here's our, here's our guide, and then we also have a plethora of fall offerings. These may change second semester, just so everyone can see. And I did email this out to all of the parents and students so that they were aware. Some of them are more drop-in programs, some of them are you sign up. So just so everyone is aware, you can see the variety of out of school time programming that we are offering to help our students like we have like the Math Stars, we have the Writing Center, On Track for Success. That's maybe students who need credit recovery. We also have physics tutoring or, other things that may help students with executive functioning, things like that. So just to let you know that we are using our OST programming to help supplement our MTSS program as well. PD scheduled for this year. So this is the MTSS that's scheduled so far this year. The first quarter, that was based on tier 1. And then there's 5 asynchronous, like we scheduled them for a certain time during the week just so teachers could hold that place in their calendar. However, teachers can do them anytime they want. CPS is rolling out and implementing a new platform, Branching Minds, which will help identify students because all kinds of data will be uploaded. Teachers will have the capacity to upload information in there as well. And so that if, for example, I would go in and enter something regarding a student, and then another teacher went in and was going to enter something about a student, they would see that I had already entered something, so it's all in one place. So it's really going to be nice. Teachers are working through the modules, 1 per week, and then on kind of worked out nicely on November 17, we're going to have another principal directed PD, and we're going to talk about next steps and what do we do for tier 2 interventions based on guidance from the central office MTSS people. They really did suggest if there are serious red flags, have your teachers use a referral form, but just kind of wait till the end of the first quarter. But we put that referral form out there so that if teachers do see a need, that we catch that student and that student does not fall through the cracks immediately. So just to keep everyone up on that. So our next theory of action was if we do explicit and intentional broadcasting of meetings, times, and objectives, and just, every Student Government Association, Professional Problems Committee, PPLC, ILT, develop a formal process by which concerns of students and staff are brought to these organizations, explicitly share meeting minutes with administrations and students and staff as appropriate. Then we'll see an increased awareness in these organizations as forums to communicate issues. There'll be increased transparencies in how issues are addressed at the school, which will lead to increased teacher admin trust on the 5 essential survey. Action steps. So we established a regular calendar of meetings scheduled in advance. So this was last year that, sometimes meetings are subject to change based on different things. Establish a formal process by which students and staff can bring concerns. Announce at the beginning of the year where meeting minutes can be found and update throughout the year. So all of our minutes, everything is on the Google Drive. Google invites are sent. And just to remember that, so this cycle 2020 started when we were still in remote meetings. So most of the meetings for 2020 were Google Meets, but all the documents are in the Google folders and contain documents for the meeting. We also, as if you were around last year, we used survey to collect information from students and families regarding the remote learning experience. And as a result, we created the Eagle Days. We implemented those to help students manage the remote learning situation. The meetings all occurred on a regular schedule. Calendar invites are sent to participants. And like I said, in the remote learning environment, these were held via Google Meet. So where are we this year so far in the 2021-2022 school year? Google invites are still sent. Also, there are Google folders that contain the documents and minutes for all meetings. PPLC, excuse me for the typo on that, held a special meeting to create norms for effective and collaborative communication. So that was the administration and the members of the PPLC. Leadership is sending out regular reminders for all professional learning special schedules due to SEL work and anti-racist training. We hear the teachers, we understand there's a lot going on, and it's hard to keep everything straight. We understand that, so we're sending out weekly reminders, calendar links. All teachers have access to the professional development schedule folder throughout the year. The Eagle Flight is sent out weekly to faculty and staff to keep everyone up to date on what's happening, things that might be happening within the school. Sometimes there might be something sent out in between, but the Eagle Flight is sent out weekly. The leadership is reviving the weekly CDLT that's sent to teachers. We were doing the CDLT before COVID, and that provides teachers with additional insight as to what's happening in the school while maintaining privacy for all involved. So sometimes people will hear things and they think, oh, we heard something like this happen. So it's just kind of a way in which teachers can be made aware that something happened, it's been addressed, we're taking care of it according to policy. And so that there's just a general awareness. But again, like privacy is just so important because sometimes things happen and people start rumors and gossip, and that is not what this is about. This is about keeping you aware that something happened and assuring you that we're taking care of it according to the policy. But it's not it's not a public document, right? This is for teachers, and if and it's to be used in a professional mindset. The areas of action strategies for number 3. So I don't want to go through and read every single thing, but regular acknowledgement and praise for current best practices for course team collaboration and structure, the yearly professional development schedule to allow for collaboration both within and across course teams. This is something we're really trying to work on. Discussions among staff about best practices for course team collaboration, increase engagement and buy-in from students, and more differentiation in instruction, which will lead to all of the following, which are our goals for our CIWP. So we, this was last year, our action step, needs assessment to address professional development needs, plan PD around central themes identified by the needs assessment, and plan 2020-2021 PD around central themes identified by the needs. So Jones administration, in order to address the needs communicated to us by the faculty, we first contracted with MCVA, and we covered, we did 3 professional developments with MCVA, creating democratic classrooms, building community, engaging in critical and courageous conversations, analyzing power, privilege, and proximity. And the expectation is that teachers will continue to use the resources provided by MCVA within their classroom setting. We also, as everyone knows, consulted with Davis Squared to provide faculty and staff PD focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here's all of the topics that we covered in the last school year. And as you all know, we continue our work with David Squared during this 21-22 school year. Also, the administration attended another PD. This is just for administrators with Elena Aguilar, Coaching for Equity. Elena also actually, after we did our training with her, CPS actually had her as a presenter for the whole district during our leadership conference before the school year started. So it was kind of nice that I don't know, I personally felt a little bit ahead of the game when I was attending the conference that she presented for all of CPS. So here is how we're progressing on our Theory of Action 3 for this school year so far. Now I'm going to say it again, we're only in the beginning of October, so we know there'll be a lot more going on. But we're continuing our Davis Squared PD. We have our dates set, and there's the dates. These are the topics that we are going to cover throughout the year. And I know this will, so right now, we're starting to head into the anti-racist teaching strategies, which I think will help our teachers address a lot of needs within the classroom. I think this is really critical for our students and our whole Jones community. So you can see that there is the topics of what we're doing this year. So this is our theory of action 4, develop meaningful, focus, consistent professional development, organize protocols, resources available to all teachers, emphasize PD on equity, including racial, socioeconomic, diverse needs, and others. Special attention needs to be given to implementation of anti-racist education for students and profession for the faculty. So action steps, we evaluate school data on equity to determine areas of needs. And you can read through, form a team, identify district and outside resources. We will explicitly include anti-racist PD in education within this strategy. So last year, the Jones administration had been working on school-wide Jones culture and climate plan with an equity focus. I'm sure you're all very familiar with that. I know Mr. Mitchell reports out on it at lots of LSC meetings. This plan, if you look at it, it's aligned to the CIWP and the CPS equity framework. And you can see that on the CPS equity page, not the CPS, see the equity page on our website. There's an equity team created to work with our Equal Opportunity School program based on needs expressed by students and community. We reached out to the CPS Office of Equity for assistance and resources. During 2020, leadership met to discuss possibilities for PD for the next 20. The assistant principals, and this goes back so long ago, we attended a workshop, Dismantling White Supremacy, July 18th and 19th. And then this also, an action step check-in is our Davis Squared work. And then also, this is also another thing, there was getting parent participation on the 5 essentials. So this year, the survey, for last school year, the survey closed on April 30th. And Jones had the 4th highest participation rate in the district. And it was the only high school in the district to have more than 25% participation. So in order for parent participation to be included, you have to have more than 25%. And we were the only high school in the district that had that. So I think that's something to be proud of for our community stepping up, our parent community, and actually filling out the survey. So that was great. So now I just re-put this up there. So you can see, here's our goals, and then where are we now? So how are we doing on our SQRP metrics? Well, unfortunately, because of COVID and everything, there is no SQRP data right now. We are waiting to get some SAT growth and percentile data from the sources, but right now there is no current SQRP data on that. So we can't report on that. How are we doing on our vision metrics? So our overall attendance, where we were when we wrote the CIWP, our overall attendance was 91.3%. Our goal was 93%. So where we were at the end of last school year was 91.74. So we did not meet our goal, but we are headed in the right direction. And that was a pretty crazy year between remote and hybrid learning. I am very proud of the fact that we trended upward rather than downward. And I know we haven't reached our goal, and we won't be satisfied until we reach our goal, but the fact that we're trending in the right direction makes me happy, at least. And I'm only speaking for myself, but that makes me happy. And also the attendance rate for African-American students. Again, we didn't reach our goal of 93%, but we are trending in the right direction. So, and it was a very tough year for everybody. So like I said, I'm very grateful for all the efforts that were put forth to engage students, all the phone calls, all the emails sent to keep students engaged in school during was a year like no other. AP exam success rate. So for African American students, our goal, we were at 82.4. Our goal was 85%. Where we were at in the vision was 81.03. So not very happy that it went down a little bit more than a percentage point. However, you know, it was the COVID year, and we just have to really look at that and do a little bit more of a deeper dive into what is happening in those AP classes and how can we differentiate our instruction to make it more equitable for all students, and really, and really work to have culturally relevant curriculum so that all students can experience similar success. Our AP exam success rate for IEP students did go up, which was good. We actually hit our goal. Our goal was 50%, and we hit it at 50%. The next, here's our custom metrics. So there's a lot on here. So as you can see, this is how we were going to measure, right, the number of meetings we had. So 2021, we fell shy with just 7 meetings, and like I said, that was, I own it. It was my fault, but well, it wasn't my fault, but you know, it is what it is. So we had 7 meetings, and that was pretty close to meeting our goal. This year so far, we've had 14 meetings. We've given 1 presentation. We have PD scheduled on the following dates, and we've created the guide. We also have the out of school time, which will provide opportunities for intervention. Our next goal was to have 60% agree or strongly agree that communicates for a clear vision for our school. So we are not quite at our goal, but we are pretty close because 59%, this came from the most recent 5 essentials, 59% agree or strongly agree. Increased parent completion rate. So we definitely met this custom metric, over 43%. So that's pretty good. And the next, it says trust. We were going to focus on teacher, admin, and there's a lot of different questions that deal with these. So I kind of broke them out on the next couple slides. So these are the questions. So teachers feel respected by the principal, 81%. And this is 81% of the respondents, right? So 81% feel respected, to a great extent or some. The principal has confidence in the expertise of the teachers, 94% agree or strongly agree. I trust the principal, 69% strongly agree or agree. It's okay in the school to discuss feelings, worried, and frustrations with the principal, 64% strongly agree or agree. The principal takes personal interest in the professional development of teachers, 69% agree or strongly agree. Principal looks out for personal welfare of the faculty, 66% strongly agree and agree. Principal at this school is effective manager who makes the school run smoothly, 68% strongly agree and agree. Principal has provided me with support. I need to improve my teaching, 65% strongly agree or agree. Teachers in the school trust each other, 69% strongly agree or agree. Teachers report having been closely connected to my school's improvement plan, 84% strongly agree and agree. And so we are still in like the 2nd year of our cycle, and some things that we are going to be looking at, which I feel is really important. And I think the rest of the team, when we meet again, like the leadership has been looking at the CIWP, a lot of members from the CIWP team, students graduated, no longer interested in participating because of other commitments, but we do have a new team, and we met once, and some things that we're going to take a deeper look and maybe adjust some places in there. Teacher-student trust and parent-teacher trust. meeting SEL needs of students, and creating teacher buy-in and implementation of SEL by teachers at the classroom level. The leadership has put a lot of effort into making sure we have provided opportunities, but we have to, like, there's 4 of us and almost 2,000 students. We really have to make sure there's buy-in by teachers at the classroom level for the belief in the need for this for our students, especially this year, you know. And I think there's going to be just a greater need than I think this need has always been there. It may be something that has been not focused on as much, but I think we really need to focus on it a lot right now. Also, re-engagements of students after remote learning. There are definitely some issues there. And then monitoring implementation of anti-racist training by teachers at the classroom level. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, but that is our CIWP report. And I know that I've said this a lot, but the CIWP is not a document that you write and it stays the way it is. It's constantly tweaked, it's constantly changed, and we are really working to do everything that we set out to do. We've set out to do a lot. And I think, I mean, I can say that when we set out to do this, I mean, we have to always keep the students at the forefront of our work. I think it's really important that students are at the forefront of the work and that we don't lose sight of it. I think a lot of times we can lose sight of things because of conflicting ideas, right? Like, we might have different ideas of how to help a student, and because we have different ideas, well, both ideas could be good and we could come out with something really good, but it's always, remember, what's our end goal? Our end goal is to do something good for the students and to make Jones the best place it can be for the students. So Sarah, I see you have your hand raised. Yeah, I don't know if that's a question.
Yeah, I just had a few clarifying questions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the presentation, and I'm a super nerd, so I've been on a CIWP team before, so I'd love to see like people's process. One question I had was about MTSS. Since your goal was just kind of to increase your meetings and get that going, do you kind of see this being extended into the next CIWP cycle as a continuing goal?
Oh, Sarah, absolutely. That was just our measurement. So the idea is that if we met that many times, it's not just about, and so I think maybe the verbiage has to maybe be changed, but it's like, we're meeting, but we're not just meeting and checking off a box. We're actually meeting and doing work. And as you can see, like this year, the team, it's actually it's turned out to be pretty small this year, but it's great because we've accomplished quite a bit. We've got our MTSS guide, we've got a referral system, we've got the teachers working on the branching mind so that we have all of that. And ideally, we're when we start getting more referrals, ideally it's about what trends are we seeing and what things do we need to make sure that we have in place based on like historical data, what we know of where students are going to struggle and how they're going to struggle. And so I think it's important to note too that, you know, a lot of people think of MTSS as, oh, they're students who aren't getting good grades or they're struggling academically, but you know, I've been in this business probably 30 years, and sometimes students need a little extra academic help, a little push, but a lot of times the reason why a student isn't doing well academically isn't necessarily an academic reason. There could be underlying reasons, and that's why we put in an MTSS plan for each student, because it could be a student who needs some social emotional intervention, maybe some behavioral intervention. You know, there could be something going on at home. They could be working a job till 2 in the morning and getting up for school at 6 in the morning. So it's actually looking and seeing why the academic interventions maybe need, and are there other things going on? I know I could go on and on about this because sometimes it could be anxiety, it could be depression. There's a lot of
Right.
reasons.
You're talking about offering all the wraparound services. I'm just going to ask 2 real quick clarifying questions. The SQR, the 5 essentials data on those last few slides, What year is that from?
That's from the most recent one, the one that where
20
I just, it's from the most recent one. I just went through the
So
current.
2019, 2020,
No,
2021.
the one that, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
the one
then,
that we just, I have the PDF for it, so I just went.
okay,
through-
we don't have that PDF, so that's all. I just was
Yeah.
curious. And then my last question is regarding branching minds. Is that something that's going to be K through 12 that will follow the student through their career, or?
It's
Okay.
supposed to be. You know, I've been with CPS a long time, and so things are always like implemented, right? And I would hope that branching minds is something that stays. I mean, it's supposed to be used K to 12, not just in high school. And ideally, that would be great if we use it for at least 5 or 6 years so that we get some very good longitudinal data to look at. I mean, I hope it's not something that CPS says, yeah, great, we sign a contract with them, and then in 2 years, it all goes bust, right?
And just to clarify, that's something you guys are already have started using. The teachers have
Well,
started.
we haven't started it. The teachers have started training on it. CPS just rolled it out in September. So if teachers want, you know, once they do the modules and they learn how to use it, they can put information in there, but we're not going to use it as a whole school until the second quarter, until all the teachers have done the training. And that is based on what CPS has told us.
Thank you.
Hey,
Ellen?
Ellen, I see you've got your hand raised.
Thanks. I had two things and they're both like related to documents. Because I clicked on that MTSS guide, Teresa, and I was also logged into my personal and it like wouldn't let me see it. So I was wondering if it would be possible to make sure the access is changed so it's viewable outside of.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I'll change it definitely for CPS and for people it's shared with. But sometimes I have to really make sure there's nothing confidential in the document that people outside of CPS shouldn't be seeing. You know what I mean?
Totally understand. Yeah, I noticed.
I'm very careful about sharing with outside of CPS.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just noticed when I clicked on it that happened, and I was wondering if that was true for other council members when they clicked through your presentation links. And then the second question again was like a document question. I was wondering if you would be able to share some of our like. You said that the leadership team is looking at certain categories of the 5 Essential survey. And I was wondering if you could like share the trends for those things, so like the past couple of years, or if you'd be able to share that.
Well,
PDF.
I can share it. Anyone can look up the results of the My Voice, My School 5 Essential survey. If you go to the Jones, if you go to CPS, I mean, I can share it, but if you go to the Jones, like you go to CPS, school locator, you look on school, I don't know if it's under downloads or reports or documents, you can see it. And I can share the most recent one that, you know, there might be trends on there too. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it specifically. But anyone can go through and pull up although the most recent one is not up there yet, right? Like
That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, CPS takes, but anyone can go and look at our 5 Essential surveys since, I don't know, when I went on there, you could look at it for, you know, I think since 2012, I think you could go back as far as 2012, maybe even further. So anyone can look that up. That's all public information.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the most recent year because I couldn't find that. But it sounds like
that hasn't been published on the CPS yet.
Thank you.
Elaine, did you want to do the questions you had in the chat? I know it's go.
Good evening, Dr. Conklin. So I did have some questions. Some of these were, they may be somewhat of an overlap for CIWP. I prepared them in advance for the equity report, but I just dropped them in the chat because I do have to drop off in a couple of minutes to tend to my scholar that's taking the PSAT tomorrow. But I was, let me read them. Just a couple of questions about Dayton Square.
Yeah, I see. Sarah, I'm not Sarah, Elaine. You said, what are the expectations for applying the strategies from professional development? Are these the questions?
Yes.
Okay, so that is part of the equity, but once we are finished with our anti-racist David Square training, I mean, it is the expectation that teachers will apply these strategies in their classroom. So we are going to, but we're going to wait for, we would hope that teachers are starting to implement as they feel comfortable, but we do know that some teachers want to finish the whole program before they feel comfortable and ready to go, and want to respect that. So we will be putting in place some accountability measures when we walk in to do observations to see, is there evidence of, anti-racist or culturally relevant teaching happening? And then do we have implementation data? Well, seeing that we're waiting officially, like teachers can do it if they want, but we really don't have any implementation data just yet because we are waiting to finish this. It's a year-long process. And as you know, Marcia Davis and her consultants are working on their equity audit for us at this time. So, and Mr. Mitchell can speak more to that too, but that's just where we are right now. And I hope that doesn't oversimplify your question, Ms. Buggs, because I know how, we've had lots of offline conversations, so I know how passionate you are about this, and I want to be able to answer your questions.
Yes, and so actually when I did it in response to when I read Dr. Power's report, but I noticed that there is some overlap between the three, and so I was going to pose it to him. So here's why I bring it up. With professional learning, professional development, what I believe is a best practice at that moment that you're learning, that there is a point of application and then an expectation of implementation. So I was kind of getting to that. So when they are teaching or sharing something, a strategy, like from each session, do they also include, okay, so here's a takeaway that someone can try, and then if so, how is that going? So, in terms of what you guys are observing, or if there was a survey, but that's along the lines of what I was getting at with that question. But I want to be able to transition off this call. Those are the questions. I submitted some other ones just after reviewing the report to Cassie. And if they are applicable, she can ask them, because I understand when you do reports, you may add more to it. So any questions that I share that I wrote down, it was just when I first read it. But thank you guys for the information. And perhaps at another time, we can have a conversation, me and admin, as it relates to some of these things. But thank you for your time, Dr. Plunkett.
Oh, absolutely, Elaine. I appreciate you as well.
Okay, any more questions for Dr. Plunkett? Roberto?
Yes. So good evening, Dr. Plunkett. Thank you so much for your presentation. I guess I needed some more clarification on the SAT cohort growth overall. I didn't quite understand like what the measurements are and what they mean. So you had 61 for school year 2019, 70. I'm assuming these are percentiles. Can you explain that just a little bit so I understand what we're measuring or what the school is measuring?
Right. Give me a second and I will explain it for you. Okay. So you're asking about the SAT cohort growth, or was it PSAT or?
No, it's the SAT. I don't think there was a PSAT, but there was the SAT.
Sometimes there is a sometimes there is a PSAT on there, but I don't think we use that. I don't think we use that as.
Yeah, I think it was the SAT growth percentile overall for students.
Right. And I'm looking for the exact definition of how what CPS
Yeah, and so I'm guessing like so as an example, does this mean the goal is to get 70% of all students to score at a certain percentile or certain number? Like, for example, we want 70% of our students to be scoring above a 1200 at the SAT. So I'm trying to figure out what is the metric that we're measuring.
Well, so the metric is how much students grow from the previous year. And so it's kind of tricky because sometimes it's comparing apples to oranges, right? Because you're not necessarily comparing the same group of students. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm just looking.
Somewhat,
I understand it, but I want to give you the exact definition that CPS uses so that I don't misspeak. Like, I understand how they do it. I just want to give you the exact definition. So,
do you want to follow up in an email just saying this is what these metrics mean and how CPS or Jones defines it? I think that would be helpful and more efficient.
Yeah, and I can. Okay, so this is actually how they define it. It's a composite scale score minus the average expected for each grade level. So, and I'll email you the whole thing to the whole LSC because there's a big long explanation. So it's their average from like spring to spring of their scale score compared to the average national growth for the same for kids. So, like, for example, kids at Jones are compared to kids at like schools, right? Like, they would not necessarily compare Jones to a neighborhood school, right? So they're compared to like schools. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think for me personally, it would be helpful. I think an email would be fine explaining how those measurements.
I'll send it to everyone right now.
Yeah. And then it would also be helpful for me to like just get concrete numbers. So if you're saying based on grades or cohorts, what does that mean? If we're moving from 60% to 70% per grade or graduating class?
I'm going to send it to you right now.
Okay. So examples would be helpful. So
yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
Okay. And then the reason I bring this up because is so through the University of Chicago to and through their most recent data for the graduating class of 2016, 2017, they've broken down a lot of the there's just a variety of data points for Jones and various CPS schools. And so for Jones, the compare rates for Jones for 2016, 2017 freshmen who graduated with the selective college access by race and gender, it shows some real disparities. So according to the University of Chicago to and through, 71% of our Black young men are graduating or have graduated with a selective college access. And then 84% of our Latino young men graduated with selective college access. 95% of the white young men graduated with selective college access. And for the females, there's a 91% black young women graduated with selective college access. And then 91% of the Latina young women graduated selective college access. And 92% of the young women graduated selective college access. And then our Asian and Pacific Insider young men graduated 96% and 97%. So this is within the Jones School. So there seems to be a very significant disparity among the Black young men who have access and graduated with the selective college access, and the Latino young men versus the white young men. So I was trying to understand whether you and your team have looked at that data and are trying to set metrics, because I know you've put the SAT cohort growth, but that's for the overall school population. Are you breaking down, or your team breaking it down by race and gender to identify gaps and to try to narrow those gaps and ensure that those students are receiving the support services in order to increase their accessibility to the SAT to selective colleges? And
yeah, Mr. Menjivar, that data is more specifically laid out in the vision metrics, not in the SQRP metrics. So that like that is like one of, and we did not, for the purpose of the CIWP, we did not, like the team just didn't pick that data to look at. We can pick that data. We can look at that data. I know as a school and as a team, we are always looking at, especially like things like AP success rate, right? Because your AP success rate can also be tied to, you know, your access to selective colleges, right? So there's there's a whole lot that's tied into that. So we can look at that, and we do look at that. We did not look at all of that data specific to our CIWP because, you know, you could, I mean, all of these things are intertwined, and we constantly are looking at that. And I know other members of my team can also attest to that. I mean, I think one thing that, I mean, I'll just share this as an example. You know, several years ago, you know, when we would place students into classes from a math placement test, right? And I would go in and observe, you know, math is my background, and I would go in and observe, and I would go into certain level classes, and I was really saddened that certain classes were predominantly students of color and certain classes weren't, right? And I'm like, well, why is this? And I know that the students come to us at a certain level at freshman year, and we, you know, we can't control what we can't control, right? We can't control what happens before students come to Jones, but what we can control is what happens after students come to Jones. And so it's how do we work with these students, all of these students, to meet them where they're at and bring them up, right? Because we can't control what happens before a student comes to Jones. We don't even have control over who comes to Jones. You know, there's 400 plus students in our freshman class. We don't really have control over that. That's all done through, you know, the Office of Access and Enrollment. But what is important for us to look at is where are these students at, and how can we do our best as educators to help them achieve their best potential, right? I think that's just our job. I mean, I'm pretty passionate about it, so I could go on and on, but that's just our job. And I really always want to work with teachers and the other people in the school that just because a student came in and they didn't have what another student has doesn't mean we can't bring them up, right? We have to always work for that. So yeah, and thanks for bringing up that data about the, you know, the college, selective college thing, because that is another data point that we can definitely look at. And I've seen that data before. Mr. Menjivar, do you have the current data? I know you were mentioning 2016, 2017. Do you have, and I know there's the vision metrics. I can look at the vision metrics myself, but if you have something else that you want to send, I mean, I haven't seen the most recent one. I saw last year's, but if you want to send that along, I'm happy to look at, and I'm happy to include that where appropriate in our CIWP, because, you know, we are all of us, we're here for well, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, I guess. I'm speaking for myself and my colleagues that I work with. We are really here for the students. We're not here for anything else.
So thank you, Dr. Plunkett, for that. And that is the current data. So the 2016, 2017 are the freshmen from 2016 who have graduated.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying from the okay. I thought you were saying from the 2016. Absolutely. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. So the way the University of Chicago gives you 4 to 5 years.
No, I got you.
I
got what I thought they were the seniors in 2016. So I got you.
And so, and I absolutely agree with you. I think one of the things that's important is trying to look at where the students are, and then providing them with the support services so that so that they can achieve their full potential and aspirations. So that's why I think breaking down the data is important. So that way we know, or the school knows, where to direct the additional support services in order to help to be more equitable, right?
Yeah,
to be more
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. And sometimes we've looked at data and we could actually, without even knowing, like you can narrow down like which are which 10 students need what. I mean, you can actually do that. And that's why I think it's so important that we really focus on that and not get caught up in other things that can get us off track and away from student needs, right? Like, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Like, it is, and I know my report ran long and I apologize, but it's 8:40 at night. We have 2 teachers on here who have teachers to teach. We've got administrators on the call who have, want to spend time with students tomorrow. And I just want to always make sure that we keep our focus on the student and on what's really important, right?
Great.
That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I've been in CPS 28 years, and students should always be the #1 focus. So yeah, thank you. And if you want to, I will look up that data, but if you want to send it to me as well, and I will email you the definitions, so you have it, Mr. Menjivar. I'll actually email it to the whole LSC.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Plunkett. I think it would be great if we were getting these CIWP updates monthly, which I think is what the standard thing is in the LSC resource guide. So that would be really helpful. And it would also mean that these yearly updates would be very condensed. So thank you so much for all that information. And it would be very helpful to see the full 5 essentials survey. So if that could be sent around too, that would be great. I think we've requested that.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get that to you. And like I said, I'm going to be honest. I saw the agenda. I did not think I would not be presenting until 8 o'clock tonight. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I have been on LSCs.
That's great.
Dr.
Plunkett,
and I really don't like being cut off when I say something that people don't like to hear. These meetings have to be more efficient for
Dr.
parents.
Plunkett, I'm the chair and I'm trying to make the meeting more efficient. So please, sorry. Okay. I did tell Raquel that we were aiming to have the Friends of Jones report at around 8:30. Raquel, if you were available, we could do that now. It's just supposed to be like a 2 to 3 minute report. Then we could take a little break. Dr. Powers, if you want to give your state of the school report after that, that would be great. If you need to postpone it, you could do that too. Do you have an estimate for how long it will be? Go ahead, Dr. Powers.
At this hour, I would prefer to postpone the state of the school report. I did also submit a principal's monthly report that covers some of those items. And I've also sent the state of the school report out to all the members. So to give it sufficient time, I would much prefer if we could move this to the November meeting, which still falls within the same time frame that we normally have presented this report. I can also update any data in the report that was based on, say, 5 or 6 weeks of school, and move that up to the first quarter of school, just so some of that data is more comparable.
Does that sound good to everyone? Have a comment, Sarah?
I would prefer to have a second special meeting so we could finish all of the agenda items from tonight, and then maybe we'll get back on track for November. We can do the budget update in November.
I have a lot of upcoming high school fairs I'm going to be attending. I would just as soon not have an additional meeting. This is, again, something we're still presenting this report in the common time frame, which is October, November. And so presenting it in November, and again, you already have a copy of it handy, and I will update it. I would prefer not to have an additional special meeting.
I think we can indulge that. And we don't really have any information about the MFT plan yet. So that is something that really needs to be more detailed if we're waiting till November for it. Given that the MFT plan I thought was submitted to CPS in August. So if you could get that copy of that to us that we've been asking for, that would be helpful. So I think all I've heard is that $100,000 would be spent on test prep, but so more details on that is really needed.
We'll see what we can do. What we presented to CPS was very much just an outline, but it's something we need to flesh out and provide you with at our next meeting.
Yeah, I feel like we don't quite have that outline yet. So let's do the Friends of Jones report if Raquel is here. And then we do have some requisitions over $2,500 to approve tonight. We also need to discuss these new student positions because we currently now have officially a 15-person LSC and our quorum is 8. We need to talk about filling those positions. And so that discussion I think is quite urgent as well. And then to the extent that people have just key points from their reports, I think that would be something we can get through. And with a 5-minute break, we probably can wrap up by 9:30, I think. So Raquel, if you are there, do you want to give the Friends of Jones report?
Yes, that is okay. I appreciate being moved up on the agenda. So should I just go forward with the report then?
Yep.
Okay. So Friends of Jones is still looking for volunteers for open house this Saturday. So if everyone can help in spreading the word or volunteer themselves, I'm sure the school would greatly appreciate it and help to make open house a success. So if anyone's interested, they could email me, raquel.don@friendsofjones.com. And if you haven't already done so, please sign up for the 5K. It is Sunday, October 24th. It is a great way for our students and Jones community to support the students clubs and whatever they want the money donated to. Also, the LSC requested some transparency when it comes to our grants. So I was just gonna go over the ones that we have provided this year thus far. So in July, we provided a grant to the dance team for uniforms. In August, we provided a grant to SGA/teachers to cover the costs for the welcome back breakfast. In September, the senior class/SGA asked us for a grant to cover the cost of supplies for the senior takeover celebration. September 9th, the band requested a grant to cover the cost of equipment repair, since that was the most cost efficient thing to repair them, not replace them. September 9th, the diverse learners requested a grant to provide supplies for all of the students. Not all of the students, I'm sorry, the diverse learners. I misspoke. September 9th, the squash team requested a grant for fees that related to the court rental. This would bring down the cost for everyone that was a member of the team. In September, the library requested a grant for books that are not being in production. So they were able to get them another way via the urgent and immediate Friends of Jones grant. And Friends of Jones has learned under the CPS guidelines that we are no longer able to sell Jonesware at the school store. So we will continue to sell Jonesware online only and fulfill orders through what we would call the old store, which will now be called the Inventory Fulfillment Center. We will be communicating this change to the students and the families. We will work to make them aware of this and hope to minimize the adverse impact that it will have on the school and its spirit. And the LSC asked FOJ to reach out to Dr. Powers and the SGA president to see if they needed help distributing the welcome back funds from CPS. School and SGA figured it out, so FOJ is not a part of the plan as to how to spend that money. And that concludes my report.
Thanks so much, Raquel. Any quick questions for Raquel? She can send us the report by mail or like to be put
Email.
in the minutes too. So yeah, email. Whatever works. Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break and then come back and we'll come back to new business. So see everyone at like 8:54. Hi, everyone. See here by cameras if we can reconvene.
I'll do a quick roll call.
Looks good. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. Andrade,
Present.
Bowman,
Present.
Bugs, she left at 8:30. Serna Prado,
Here.
Cresswell,
Here.
Brands, coming. Land,
Here.
Ma here. Martinsek,
Here.
Menjivar,
Present.
Powers,
Here.
Zen.
Here.
Okay, so just let me know when you see Hilbrains come back. It's his meeting. He's here.
You need to add Lenny, right?
Oh yeah. Hold on, wait. I have her name written. Where'd it go? Here it is. Mana Hoppenworth.
Here.
There you go. Is it Mana or is it Mana?
Mana.
Mana. That's okay. Thank you. Since I have to say it so much.
Great, thanks, Sarah. And our first item now is under new business, is the new student representatives. Wait, Mr. Mitchell, do you want to give your equity initiative report under reports? I actually had you listed under the state of the school report, but
it is due to the time, you know, it's unnecessary. I mean, I can make myself available to answer a few questions, but the report's been submitted, so we can move forward.
Great, thank you so much. So hands looking there. Roberto, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a point of information regarding Raquel's statement for the Friends of Jones, if I may.
Go ahead.
So Raquel mentioned that the Friends of Jones was no longer going to be selling Jonesware because of at the school, because there was some discrepancy issue between the LSC and maybe the district. So just to be clear, how the Jonesware works, when you're selling on the school premises, it becomes a school store. And by the district policy, a school store, any funds that are exchanged have to be, that those funds have to be given to a staff, a faculty of staff on a Jones School faculty and staff. So if Friends of Jones wants to continue to sell their ware and volunteer, they can. All they need is the support from the school and from the administrative leadership team to ensure that any funds that are being exchanged are going into the hands of the Jones faculty and staff. That's my understanding of that policy. So it wasn't necessarily that this LSC or members of this LSC didn't want the FOJ to sell the schoolware. It's just those are the policies.
Thanks, Roberto. I think that's probably enough clarification, but for now, we'll talk about fundraising more at a future meeting. So let's let that go for now. There's not really anything that can be done currently. Raquel, maybe let me and Roberto know offline what other information you have on that. Okay. So 7A is the new student representative positions. Law was passed this summer. There are now 3 student positions on a high school LSC. The Office of LSC Relations told LSC members on September 30th that LSC should fill these positions, but they did not explain in a detailed way how to fill those positions. And so we can either do the same sort of process that we did for other vacancies where we appoint, but we could also, since the school has procedures to hold an election that they do every year anyway, if an election, which it's a non-binding poll for student representatives, the board then approves the, who the students select. So the board kind of has a veto power on it. But like one possibility is the school holds a non-binding election and the 2 top vote getters could be basically passed to the LSC, and we could use that as a recommendation to make our appointment. Dr. Powers, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I think that's what I would recommend, and we can work on that. It's easy enough done, especially now that we have students in the building. In the past, it would have been last year would have been much more problematic. It was more difficult to do, but we can do it, and then the students who are appointed will serve through the remainder of this school year through June, and then of course early in the new school or early in the new year, meaning in 22, we will hold another vote, non-binding, for the following school year for starting in July, and that will be for all three positions.
Yeah, I mean, so clearly everyone, raise your hand if you have a comment. I definitely would like to see an election done just because I think that's sort of fairest way to go about it. Since these positions are not just vacated, like they didn't exist yet. So go ahead, Daniel.
I was just wondering if it would make more sense to have the poll for the following year, 2022 to 2023, before school ends, just because I have a feeling that the students who run for this one, the current one we're going to be holding soon, are most likely going to be seniors or at least upperclassmen. And if they are seniors and I'm a senior, that's going to be multiple like student positions like that are not filled for the next like LSC. So I don't know if that makes more sense to hold it before the school ends. But I don't know if that's too many like calls in one short period of time.
Go ahead, Dr. Powers.
Yeah, Daniel, that's actually when we do it. I think we start. They give us a time frame. It's like February, March. I can't remember exactly because everything was a little bit different last year, but I believe that's the normal time frame. Is that February, March, early in the second semester, and then that's for people to start serving in July.
Okay, thank you. I think I just misinterpreted that then. Thank you.
That's okay. It's easy to get mixed up on these things.
Yeah, so I think like, if the logistics of it can be arranged soon, that would be great. And I don't know what the logistics of the Board of Ed approving it is, but I think like if the poll is held, the students can come and they can make non-binding votes until they are officially approved. In lieu of very detailed guidance, that's probably the best bet. So I don't know if do you want to make a motion on this, everybody, that we'll do it this way? Anyone want to make up that motion? Should I word it or go ahead, Dr. Bowers.
I move that we hold a special election for the 2 new seats for student representatives on the LSC to be held sometime in the coming weeks so that we can fill those 2 seats. I just repeated myself, I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded, roll call. Andrade,
Yay.
Bowman,
Yay.
Serna Prado,
Yay.
Cresswell,
Yay.
Hilbrands,
Yay.
Land,
Yay.
Ma is yay, and Mana Hoppenworth,
Yay.
Martinsek,
Yay.
Menjivar,
Yay.
Powers,
Yay.
Zen.
Yay.
Okay. Woo.
Great. There was a lot of student interest already, so I think there should be a lot of enthusiasm. And our approvals are next. Sarah, do you want to do the items over $2,500?
Yeah, give me a second. I was trying to get those up. What's going on? I'm just going to share really quickly. Share my screen. Okay, we have 4 things. 10,000 for 498 for building improvements on the North Campus. We're getting blinds for the 3rd floor, and $30,403 for the girls volleyball apparel. $2,834 for Pro Maxima. It has to do with cross-training equipment for the gym, adding an extension, and $3,013.30 for more PE uniforms. That was it. Any questions? No? Sorry, wrong documents. I guess I make a motion to approve these 4 check requests as presented.
I second.
Roll call. Andrade,
Yay.
Bowman,
Yay.
Sonaprato,
Yay.
Cresswell,
Yay.
Hilbrands,
Yay.
Land,
Yay.
Ma, yay. Mana, Hoppenworth,
Yay.
Marchinsek,
Yay.
Menjivar,
Yay.
Powers,
Yay.
Zen.
Yay.
Okay. And buy our uniforms. Lots of gym stuff.
And then do not believe we have any budget transfers to approve tonight. We do have, is it 2 fundraisers? Just 1. Darn it, sorry.
The fundraiser is a ugly sweater thing. Sorry for lack of a better word. And they did it last year just for the choir. And yeah, I think everything goes through Custom Ink, and they get about 50% of the they get 100% of the profits, but they're, let's say it costs $12, they get $6 for every $12 spent. And this is a fundraising form. It's pretty exciting. So it's signed by the principal, regional educating officer, and the LSC chairperson. Any comments? Okay, I make a motion to approve the ugly sweater fundraiser.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got it. I heard Powers first. I'm gonna do a roll call. Andrade,
Yay.
Bowman,
Yay.
Sonaprato,
Yay.
Cresswell,
Yay.
Hilbrands. Oh, he's there.
Yay.
Okay, Land,
Yay.
Ma, yay. Mana, Hoppenworth,
Yay.
Marchinsek,
Yay.
Menjivar,
Yay.
Powers,
Yay.
Zen.
Yay.
Okay, we will get that signed off.
Okay, and I don't believe we have any facility usage to discuss tonight. For old business, we did a poll on the location and format of regular meetings. For virtual meetings, it was definitely a clear winner to try to stick with 1 meeting a month and not split it up into 2 shorter meetings. So I think we will just revisit when we need to do in-person meetings. Otherwise, things were kind of mixed, really, the results. I'll send those around to everyone. And the tracking of the equity needs, that's linked there. It's just updated with Mr. Mitchell's report this month. The outcome of the ad hoc committee of additional indicators, we met twice. We discussed an array of things. You can see the committee reportings or find the minutes in the committee folders. And we did look at sort of like equitable hiring practices or system as a more elaborate indicator. And then we also looked at the culturally responsive teaching and leading standards that Illinois now has as a state, and using one of those as sort of a competency with key behaviors. But basically, in the end, Dr. Powers did not feel it was necessary to add anything to the, we have like 5 competencies and 28 key behaviors in the professional practice rating. So we will be sticking with that for the year. Any other comments on that item? And okay, so for reports, if we have questions for Mr. Mitchell, we could send those by email and record that. I think it was pretty straightforward. Elaine does have some questions, so those were somewhat covered in the CIWP discussion. So maybe I'll send them to you with her and we'll cover them then. And okay, for student report, Daniel, do you have a student report tonight, verbal or otherwise?
No student report this month. Thank you.
PPLC, I know how to report. Kim and Ellen.
Yeah, we do. We're willing to yield our time to give the report. It's linked in the agenda. It's a pretty brief document. So I think everybody on the committee has already seen it, or on the council has already seen it.
Thanks. And yeah, that is super helpful, like to be able to read them ahead of time. So even though there's not a discussion, I think it's good. The whole school community can find those. So thanks. And the Friends of Jones report we already had. For committee reports, Sarah, do you want to do the budget?
Only if people want any further clarification. I did do the slides. I tried to list in anticipation for next month's budget address, just kind of a refresher of the internal accounts and the 115 funds. So you could kind of review that before next month, but I don't need to talk about it.
One delayed item. Does anyone have any questions on the PPLC report? No, thanks. Those, yes. Go ahead, Roberto.
Just for the Sarah Ma on the budget committee, it would be helpful for me to see how we're drawing down on some of the funds for the various line items. So like, for example, this LSC approved the college access application and SAT prep, as well as the language translation and various other, there was various other funds that were allocated to different departments. So I would like to see how those funds are being drawn down moving forward.
Yeah, I was thinking that a good way to present it, and Mr. Boyd and I are meeting tomorrow, but I will bring that up to him. Deborah.
Yeah, the same thing would apply to the translation money that was put in as a line item.
Sounds good.
And Sarah, if I may, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
The reason I'm asking is because when we're going through the budget approval process, there were funds that were not being touched. And so I want to make sure that every department understands that they have funds and that they should be using those funds throughout the school year.
That, I'm not sure how that's communicated, but I will talk to Mr. Boyd tomorrow.
Okay, any other questions for Sarah? If not, thanks, Sarah. Roberto, do you have a report from the Equity Committee or a summary?
Yeah, so we met in September, and this LSC directed the Equity Committee and the Safety and the Health and Safety Committee to review the Jones dress code policy. So equity members have taken up that that responsibility. We're reaching out to various schools as well as the Evanston Township, which adopted the Now school, the Oregon Now school policy. So we're hoping to have some sort of recommendation by the next time we meet, which will be at the end of October. And then we will share that over with the Health and Safety Committee for them to review. And then if they have any additional information that they would like, and then we would present it to the LSC, hopefully by November, but no later than December. So that's where we are. We are addressing the dress code policy and trying to, try to see what the best approach would be. And both Deborah Land is working on this, and Raquel are working on this. And Raquel joined the equity committee last week, so we're happy to have her. And she's going to be reaching out to other CPS schools to see what their dress code policy, how they develop their dress code policy, and what dress code policies they have in place.
Thanks, Roberto. And then health and safety, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I didn't submit a report, but I did want to share. There's just well, three things. The first is that Cindy Lalagan, who's a teacher at Jones, has expressed interest in joining the committee. So that's good news because right now there's no teacher on the committee. And the second point I wanted to make is the Health and Safety Committee had a conversation at our last meeting about the Jones student handbook in relation to transgender and gender nonconforming students. And something that Dr. Plunkett mentioned was that there exists a policy, a student handbook policy in relation to trans and gender nonconforming students. But I think it would be really great before the next health and safety meeting to see that, especially because I think Dr. Plunkett mentioned that it was developed with trans students at Jones at the time. But right now, as it stands, there's no mention of, or there's no inclusion of that part of the student handbook and the student handbook, and a parent reached out to the LSC asking about it in relation to his daughter. So I did want to bring that up here just because it's something that if it exists already, there was an indication maybe there should be something on the Jones website indicating support and well, actually that's it, support for trans students at Jones. So I just wanted to mention that here. And then the final point I wanted to make is that the LSC monthly report does indicate a health and safety meeting for next week, but I'm going to ask everyone to maybe postpone that for a week. I'm in my midterms right now and I'm a little behind on things. So, but I'll send that email out to everyone. So I apologize for those of you who have made plans around that, but I am not ready to have a meeting. But that's it. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Rachel. Oops, go ahead, Lenny.
Rachel, I'm happy to help with your committee in any way that I can.
That's great to know. I will send you an email. Thanks, Lenny. I do see something in the chat. Troy, did you just link okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's the transgender policy is under the quality tab. And Dr. Plunkett and I are discussing different ways to kind of just expand on it, also including more of a definition in the student handbook. So it is on the website now, but you know, it's always that trick of where best to place it. Thought was just put it in the equity tab. That seemed like it made the most sense.
Is that is the what you linked the CPS policy, or is it the Jones specific policy? I guess that's what the question that I had for Dr.
Oh, I think this is just the CPS one right now.
So I guess the discussion we had at the last meeting was developing a school specific policy, just because the CPS policy is for CPS and not for the school. We've brought this up at meetings before, but having having a school specific policy, it was expressed by a parent would be, this one parent feels it would be a good idea just because it's a little bit more local, I guess, than just like the district wide. But that's something that if you're interested in talking about that, we can talk about it at the health and safety meeting, the next one.
Thanks, Rachel. Dr. Powers?
Yeah, I agree, Rachel. I think it's good for people to have access to the CPS policy, and we do follow it. But it is universal for all schools in the system. But if there is for want of a better term, a more summarized statement that could be part of the student handbook, because this is a multi-page policy, and to drop that entirely into the handbook would be a little large. But instead, it should be linked to that, available through the website, and then perhaps a more concise statement for the handbook itself. I'd welcome any input on that.
Great. I think that is it for the Health and Safety Committee reports. Thanks for that, Daniel. Yeah, I think it's a great topic for the Health and Safety Committee. There's kind of a lot of overlap between health and safety and equity. So next item is agenda items for the next meeting. We will have the state of the school on that agenda. And if anyone else has anything right now, tell me. Also, obviously, council members can suggest items before the deadline to get them on the agenda, which is 48 hours before the regular meeting. And also the community should know that they can suggest agenda items as well. And then, we have a vote. So about, yes, like the LSC has the final vote on what's discussed and voted on, but we welcome suggestions. And Sarah says she'd like to have the rental agreement language, and yeah, hopefully CPS will have, we got that Facilitron info, and hopefully we'll have enough details to at least approve an initial thing that can always be modified. So, okay. I don't think we had any late speakers sign up. So seeing no further business, we can adjourn for the night. And I will see you guys either at committee meetings or next month. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.